Over the past several months, there have been some major shakeups at Marvel Studios concerning the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 film. Now, if you've been out of the loop, director James Gunn was axed from the upcoming production due to some scandalous tweets that he published several years back. While it's been pretty much confirmed that the film will be using Gunn's script, since otherwise the production would have to deal with some severe delays, there is no director attached yet, and this has prompted even more theories to spawn concerning what on Earth, or rather in the galaxy, will happen when the film goes to camera in January of next year. So today we are returning to our list of the top 10 Guardians of the Galaxy fan theories, part 2. Also, before we begin, major shout out to the sponsor of this video, Wix. Wix is a great website that lets you build your own professional and robust website with total creative freedom. Find out more in the video description below. Now let's get to those fan theories. And major spoiler warning, there's a lot of Avengers Infinity War spoilers in this video. You've been warned. Godspeed. And at number 10, Gamora is really dead. In Infinity War, we got to learn a lot more about the history between Thanos and his adoptive daughter Gamora. In order to obtain the Soul Stone on Vormir, Thanos had to sacrifice something that he truly loved. While Gamora laughed at the fact that she believed Thanos could never love anyone, I guess joke's on her cause Thanos got emotional, and then sacrificed her in order to get the stone. Ouch. She wasn't the only casualty either. Many other characters lost their lives in the film, most of which bit the dust thanks to Thanos' snap that eliminated half of all living things. Spoilers! This theory speculates that unlike those who were dusted, Gamora won't be coming back to life since her death occurred before the snap. Now that being said, Thanos spoke to a younger version of her when he seemingly entered the Soul Stone after the snap. Soul World! So there is hope that she isn't gone for good. But many believe that Gamora, along with Heimdall, Vision, and perhaps Loki, if he didn't pull off a slight trick, won't be making a return. Feel like Loki will though. Moving on to number 9, Drax's End. When we first met Drax, his one goal in life was to kill Ronan the Accuser for murdering his family. Good goal. His goal then changed after Ronan's defeat, migrating to Thanos, who was more so responsible for the galactic genocides taking place beyond races other than just Drax's. While some believe that Drax will somehow be involved in the final battle against Thanos, many believe that he just might end up dead in the process. In that much more grim theory, people have speculated that Drax might get killed off altogether in that final battle. Rumor has it that Dave Bautista is considering a full-time return to the WWE, which is where he started his career as a wrestler long before becoming an actor, if you don't consider that as actually acting. While the rumors have yet to be confirmed or denied, it's still a possibility, and would provide an easy way for the character to bow out, especially considering Bautista's outspoken disapproval of director James Gunn's firing. Moving on to number 8, Groot doesn't dance for Drax. This one might actually add up pretty well. So, on multiple occasions, you may have noticed when baby Groot dances, he stops dancing whenever Drax looks at him. Why would he need to hide his adorable little jig from the character? Well, according to Redditor Lieutenant Commander Carter, perhaps the reason why baby Groot freezes on the spot is because he thinks dancing upsets Drax. The theory suggests that Groot doesn't want to dance in front of him because he loves and respects him. In Volume 2, Drax comments that his murdered wife never danced, and that it was a good thing. So Groot never lets Drax see him dance because he doesn't want to seem frivolous or disrespectful to Drax's ways. That's definitely one way to take a deeper look into that adorable post-credit scene from the first Guardians film, isn't it? Dancin' Groot. Moving on to number 7, Earth's music. Another theory found on Reddit, this one crafted up by user Kodoro, dives further into why music is such a key part of the Guardians movies. So, for starters, it's undeniable that both of the Guardians of the Galaxy films, Volume 1 and 2, have phenomenal soundtracks. Second, we know how much music means to Peter Quill since his mixtape was the last gift from his mother, and really his only connection to her while out in the galaxy. But that music also resonates with many other individuals in the galaxy who come across it throughout the movies. All the other Guardians like the music. Groot dances to the tracks multiple times. The prison guard in the first film takes Peter's Walkman and tries to steal it altogether, and so on. So, what's the big deal, other than his tunes are really good? Well, this theory speculates that Earth's taste in music is actually incredibly advanced compared to other races out there, with many others having more of a primitive rhythm to their music compared to the kinds of artists that Peter has on his mixtapes. And at number 6, Nova's introduction. James Gunn had leaked a little while back that Marvel Studios were considering introducing superhero Nova into the fray, but that he wasn't planning on introducing the character into the Guardians movies. Now, we've already seen the Nova Corps in the Guardians films, but don't be mistaken, Gunn was discussing the character Nova, who is a member of the Corps as an intergalactic police officer. Nova was first introduced in the comics in 1976, created by Marv Wolfman and John Romita Sr. years before, but officially became Nova in a comic called The Man Called Nova. He was intended to be an homage to Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's Spider-Man, but in space. There are a few theories concerning how Nova will be integrated, or whether now that Gunn is out, if he'll even be considered as part of the MCU. But perhaps the most interesting theory is that Thanos' actions in Infinity War are the catalyst to Nova's MCU introduction. The theory suggests that the Nova Corps and Xandar were likely wiped out by Thanos, considering considering he got his hands on the Power Stone that they had put under their care at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Now consider the plotline of a man called Nova. Pandora is destroyed by a villain who claims to be Thanos' child, and one Nova soldier manages to escape to Earth. That soldier is Roman Day, who already exists in the MCU and is played by John C. Reilly. Roman finds a high school student who ends up becoming his predecessor, a kid named Richard Rider, who then becomes Nova. So it would make sense for the story to be adapted into the MCU, since its setup wouldn't be too difficult. The question is, now that James Gunn is out of the picture, would Marvel Studios prefer to follow the Nova Corps storyline in the Guardians movies and reveal this new hero there, perhaps setting up his character as one of the future Guardians of the Galaxies that will be replacing the current iteration? So many questions, but I mean, totally plausible. Now before we continue our list, we're just gonna take a quick pause in between numbers to tell you a little bit more about our awesome sponsor for this video, Wix. Getting your own website is so very important in this technology-driven world that we live in. Regardless of what industry you work in, Wix gives you an infinite amount of possibilities to craft exactly the kind of website you want, limited only by your own imagination. They do all of the heavy lifting with reliable hosting to keep your site safe and secure, offering custom domains and mailboxes, email marketing, and so much more. It doesn't matter if you're brand new to web building, a novice, a business owner, or a professional website builder. The technology that Wix boasts makes achieving your digital creation a smooth ride, with templates you can choose from, or a blank slate for you to craft your site from scratch. And there's a ton of features that you can use to boost your content, from pro galleries to video hosting to bookings. Perfect for e-commerce, artists, hotels, events, restaurants, you name it. And we've also whipped up our own little website on Wix for you guys to check out. It's a fan theory website where you guys can submit your own fan theories or fan theories that you love. Now be sure to check it out, the link is in the video description below, and is right underneath me too for that matter. Alright, back to the theories now. Moving on to number 5, Rocket and NASA. Now there's been a lot of speculation as to Rocket's origin story. Now in our last list, part 1, we broke down a theory that suggested Thanos was responsible for making Rocket, considering he and Nebula have kind of similar stories when it comes to biomodifications and robotics. Now we know Rocket was cybernetically engineered, hence why he's so highly intelligent. We also know he was tortured while being transformed into what he is today, which is why he's really sensitive. Now this theory diverges from the Thanos one, and speculates that the source of Rocket's engineering is much closer to home. From Redditor Atoreg, the theory suggests that Rocket is actually a NASA experiment gone wrong, and that he was shot into space as an ordinary raccoon. Space trash panda. And from there, ended up somewhere along the lines of Sakaar, which is where he was experimented on by a number of curious individuals, perhaps by one of the Grandmaster's crew. This also serves as an explanation as to why he growled back at Cosmo the space dog. He was Russian, and was also shot up into space. The two may have previously crossed paths when they were both shot up into space during the Cold War. And at number 4, Eternity. This theory, another one to pop out of Reddit by user ZooBoy42, is based on a line that is spoken in Guardians Volume 2, when Ego taps Peter on the head to show him the universe. Peter, in response, then says, "I see it, eternity." The Redditor suggests that rather than this being a throwaway line, or Peter trying his best to describe what he sees, perhaps he's actually referring to the celestial entity, Eternity, which could slowly be laying down the groundwork for the Celestials to be introduced in the upcoming MCU films. There's already a whole lot of speculation that Doctor Strange will be interacting with the Living Tribunal in the upcoming 4th Avengers movie, so it would not be a shocker if the Celestials will become much more present in the MCU overall, and Eternity could easily make an appearance in the Guardians films if and when Adam Warlock decides to pop up. To have a wee bit of a history. Moving on to number 3, Mantis' purpose. After Mantis' introduction in Guardians Volume 2, there was quite the stir online about the character, including a theory that speculated that she was Peter's half-sister, and that Ego had fathered her with a mother of her species. Now in the film we do see evidence that Ego had hooked up with someone of Mantis' species, which James Gunn later confirmed on Instagram, although he would later note that the sibling theory was not true. We also know that Mantis will continue to play a role in the Guardians movies moving forward, since she's confirmed to be in Volume 3. But ever since Avengers Infinity War came out, a new theory has emerged about Mantis, one that speculates that she will be the Celestial Madonna. Now upon discovering Thor in Infinity War, the Guardians, minus Quill, are all captivated by his handsomeness and muscular figure. Mantis speaks up and says it's like his muscles are made of Kotati metal fibers. Now in the comics, the Kotati are a race of telepathic humanoid tree creatures who live on a planet with the Kree. They also have a prophecy concerning a Celestial Madonna, something that in the comics, the Kree believe Mantis will become, eventually mating with the eldest Kotati on Earth and eventually becoming the most important being in the universe. Yeah, that's a big job. Perhaps Mantis will become invaluable in Volume 3, perhaps facing off against Adam Warlock if the theory about him first appearing as a Guardians villain comes true. Either way, it would be really cool to see Mantis step up and do something really awesome, aside from, you know, making Peter Quill feel uncomfortable about his feelings. And at number 2, Thor joins the team. After the events of Infinity War, and pretty pretty much the loss of almost every Asgardian left alive, many a fan has wondered if Thor, after the 4th Avengers movie, will retire from being an Avenger, and perhaps become a Guardian instead. Now we know that the 3rd Guardians film will be the last iteration of the current Guardians team, but we don't know whether that means if some of its current members will still stay on the team. Fans have speculated because of the bond that Rocket, Groot, and Thor established in Infinity War, Thor may be inclined to join up with them and adventure around the galaxy if Cap dies, if Tony retires, and if Hulk does, well, something. That hopefully involves better CGI than Mark Ruffalo in the Hulkbuster suit. Just saying. In a theory posted by Redditor Callie0, the theory suggests that since Thor has lost his people, his culture, and likely the other Avengers, if he survives the upcoming Avengers movie, he's gonna be pretty aimless. Except that we've seen how awesome Thor's adventures are in space thanks to Thor Ragnarok. And Chris Hemsworth was also a big fan of how great Ragnarok turned out. So Thor could very well end up joining with Nova, Rocket, and Groot and be a part of the next version of the team. Who knows? I mean, hey, it'd be a really interesting team if that happened. And finally, in at number 1, the timeline. Due to the deaths that occurred in Infinity War, specifically Gamora's, some fans have speculated that Volume 3 will take place prior to the events of Infinity War. Back when James Gunn was set to direct the 3rd installment of the series, he had revealed that Volume 3 would be the last time that we saw the current iteration of the Guardians altogether. The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 occurred 4 years before the events of Infinity War, and the upcoming Captain Marvel film is set to take place in the 90s, so we know that the MCU isn't a stranger to time jumps, or having their film timelines occur in a non-linear fashion. It could make perfect sense, and it could be emotionally much more impactful if we get to see Gamora one last time, knowing that she's now deceased. Talk about painful. Plus, if Adam Warlock is introduced, and there is a whole adventure in the Soul World, perhaps, maybe we'll end up seeing him and Gamora get together, which is what happens in the comics, so maybe it won't be the end of Gamora after all, but it might be the end of her tenure on the Guardians team. Alright, there we have it, friends. So what do you think of all the theories that we've discussed in this video series so far? Which of these theories seem the most plausible to you? Let us know in those comments below. Once again, major thank you to Wix for sponsoring this video, and be sure to check out the fan theory website that we made using Wix. Link is in the video description below and right here in front of me. Check it out. In the meantime though, thanks for watching everybody. I've been your host Kelly Pally, and I'll catch you all in the next video.